Well, g'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. All right, a little bit more detail in my strap-on surface grinder. This one's from 84 Engineering and it goes with my 84 Engineering grinder. I think it does fit some other models. You'd have to have a chat with Ewan over at 84 Engineering to find out exactly what he knows about that, because he's the expert and I'm just the knife maker. All right, so we've got our little contact wheel here, 5-inch contact wheel, which puts all the pressure where it meets. So I can use an older belt on it. Really should use a fresher belt, but I can use an older belt because it is pressure grinding. This arm here goes up and down as adjusted by this screw down here. If we turn on our travel gauge, you can see by spinning it, we're going deeper and shallower. And so this whole part here moves up and down on this arm here. All right, down here we have magnetic chuck, which holds everything in place. Down the bottom there we have our little stop piece which the blade sits against. On the sides here we have a couple of turn handles which are adjustments. You loosen these off, you can put a feeler gauge in here, and that way you can do tapered tangs and distal tapers. Tilts the chuck up on a bit of an angle, so that way you can mirror it on both sides and get those nice fine grinds. All right, now using it. Okay, so we want our knife against the stop down at the bottom and just running up and down on the magnetic chuck. Just going to pull it up, and as you can see we're engaging the wheel at that point, so I don't want to be engaging the wheel, so I'm going to back it down. Oh, I can hear the tiniest little bit of scratch, which means at one point along there it is just contacting grit, so that works perfectly. And we'll start at that and then we'll just creep it up as we go. So this is cleaning up a knife just out of heat treatment. As you can see, it's all black with carbonation and that sort of thing, so I want to take that carbonation off. So I'm going to use the 40 grit, take that carbonation off, then I'm going to swap to a 120 grit, clean it up, and then to a 240 grit, and I'm going to stop there. From there I'll do the bevels on it, and then after I've done the bevels I'll come back with 400 grit, but I'll probably just do that against the platen. You're not going to be able to hear me talk as I do this, because to do pressure grinding stuff you want the grinder going flat chat, so it's going to be loud and I'm going to have to dim the volume down as we play it. Have a look at the knife just there. You can see we've got coming back to a bright silver there, coming back to a bright silver on this back corner, still plenty of carbonation in the middle, so that means it's had a little bit of a twist going through heat treatment. Yeah, it's not a lot, it's a tiny amount, but this will help to straighten it out. So we'll just keep going until we get rid of all that carbonation. I'm just doing tiny little adjustments with each cut. It's basically 1/100 of a millimeter. It is a tiny amount that I'm adjusting. So yeah, we're just coming slightly up. Because I'm using a warm belt, not a crisp belt, the worry is that I've got a bit of hollow in the center here. As you can see, we've now pretty much got the center. So all I'm going to do is adjust my tracking across just to move the belt across a bit and make sure that this edge is picking up some of the center. And there we go. It's picked it up just by moving it across. So obviously there's a little hollow in this that you can't actually physically see. But I've probably edge ground on here, which has worn the center down a touch. So that's the issue with using an older belt to do this. Unfortunately, not all of us can afford brand new belts every single time, every single knife. So you gotta use what you got and try and make the most out of them. For those who don't make knives, these belts come in around about somewhere to $8 to $12 a pop. So yeah, belts are probably one of the biggest expenses on knife making. So if you don't get your use out of them, you're spending some money. Okay, so that was just taking the tracking back the other way, just to make sure that we've evened up that cut. Now all I'm going to do, lift the knife up, clean off any swarth, flip it over, okay, now on the exact same setting, I'm going to come up and down again just to make sure on this side that it matches up. Using that setting, as you can see, it's cleaned up most of the carbonation. Carbon's not that deep. It's just a very shallow surface layer. We've obviously got a slight bend down here, but yeah, most of the carbonation's gone. So we'll just come up, you know, a little bit. As I said, a couple hundredths of a millimeter at a time. You know, it's tiny amounts. So we're just going to come up a little bit and cut that to flat. Okay, so there we go, all cleaned up. So we've got that low spot out down there. Was that little low spot over here that's gone. So there is our 40 grit finish done. So next up we're going to change over to a 120. Okay, because we don't have that carbonation showing us where we've cut, where we haven't anymore, color it in a little bit with a felt marker, and that's going to get right down the bottom of the cut lines. So basically you're going to have to take the cut line off to see when that's gone. So we just want to cut now until that felt marker's all gone. Now, even if you're using brand new belts, best thing to do is still adjust your tracking backwards and forwards, just to make sure. The belts are made in a process. You don't know that the thickness of the grit's going to match. When I go to this 120, I'm going to have to lift it up a bit more because the thickness of the grit on the 120 isn't as thick as the grit on the 40. Again, we're just coming up until we can just start getting contact. All right, you just hear a scraping contact there. Our marker is all gone. All right, just going to clean it up, flip it over, and do the other side the exact same way. You can see with one pass, even, because all we're doing is taking the depth of the cut back, just to bring this grit down to the valley of the previous cut. You can see we've got a little bit of marker here, but not much more, maybe a touch up there. Really should have put my glasses on. But yeah, it doesn't need a lot of cutting. When you're doing against the plat, and you end up taking a lot more material off than what I'm doing with the surface grinder. It's a lot quicker just for the fact that we're not grinding as much. a 240 grip belt. Marker on there again, and again it's a thinner belt, so I'll just adjust the depth up. There's that scratching. So you can see where the marker lines are here. If you can see it in the glare, hard to get enough light for you to see and for me to see. But basically all they are left is in the depth of that previous grit cut. So once we have taken those off, we know we've taken the scratches all the way down. So we don't need to change angles constantly as we would if we're doing it on the platen. Okay, so 100th of a millimeter again, and those marks are gone. There we are, all done. And with filming, talking to camera, that sort of thing, this has taken me about 20 minutes. So to actually do it in place, you know, it might take 5 minutes. And it's going to be a lot more economical on belts, taking a lot less material off, so using less grit. So anytime I can save some belts, that saves me money, which is a good thing. It's also going to be a lot more economical on time, being a lot quicker, which means I can knock more knives out. As I said, from here I'll go and cut the bevels on it. So I'll just do that on the jig on the platen, and then I'll probably use the 400 just on the platen just to finish it off after I do the bevels. All right, thank you very much everyone for watching, and bye for now.